You know, guys, they say a stop clock is right twice a day, but over the past couple of weeks, I've continually tried to disprove that by losing 10 straight days. Yeah, 10 straight days. After winning 8 out of 10 weeks, I lose 10 straight days. Why? I don't know why. I ain't doing anything different, as I say, than I was doing before. The only thing I can relate it to, it's akin to a ball player that's batting .327 the first 10 weeks of the season, and suddenly he goes through a 3-week stretch where he just can't find his way out of the batter's box. It happens. And I think as a gambler, I know as a handicapper, but as a gambler, you got to be honest with yourself. You've got to expect that these horrific streaks are going to happen now and then. I've told you I've had extensive or extended losing streaks in the past, and I'm going to have them again. Now, listen, the worst thing as a handicapper, as a gambler, is to be one of those guys that are peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And by what I mean there is that you cannot be a guy who wins 1 week, loses 2 weeks, win 2 weeks, loses 1 week. You can't do that. You're going to have sustained runs over the long haul. And at the end of the year or the end of the season, that sustained runs, you'll have more winning runs and you will have losing runs, and you'll be able to turn the profit over the long haul. And of course, when you're losing, you're also going to be reducing the amount that you're wagering. In my case, as a handicapper, you're reducing your ratings because you've got to maybe rebuild your confidence or maybe hope that you find your touch again. Because as quickly as it goes, it comes right back again. And that's the strangest thing. And it's why I always say there are no guarantees in gambling. Because then suddenly on Friday, out of the blue, I go 4-0. Go figure. Here on the video or here for the free picks, I go 2-0, giving you winners in the NBA on the Nets and the Pistons. 5-1 run now with free play since Tuesday, with 2 more nighttime baseball selections coming your way in just a moment. And then I hit both of my best bets, the Pelicans in the NBA and the Royals in baseball. I didn't do anything different. It's just one of those things. But listen, one of the reasons that this video report is probably the most watched in this entire industry is because I think you appreciate the fact, as you know, I talk more about losing than I do about winning. Listen, sometimes I like to have fun. Sometimes I'm serious. But the bottom line is, just like I say, the sites I encourage, or I enforce actually, total transparency. The same thing goes here on the video reports, because what you see is what you get. The same way I act here talking to you today is the same way I would be acting if we're sitting down next to each other and having cheesesteaks. What you see is what you get. Listen, you are not watching this video recorded because of my dashing good looks. And if you are, you've got to get the Pearl Vision tomorrow immediately to get your eyes checked. That's the bottom line. But again, it's total transparency. And listen, the irony here is this dreadful losing streak here comes on the 26th year anniversary that I made a decision that changed my life. Because today, 26 years ago, after previously turning down a job opportunity twice, I took it and embarked on the career that I now have. Because at that time, I think I've told you before that, I was managing editor of a sports wire service. I coordinated the coverage of a couple of Olympics. I covered every major boxing match for like 8 years in a row. I loved it. I liked being a reporter. It was just something I was really into. At the same time, I was still trying to get a long-term TV job. I had already done radio, had a nationwide radio show as well. That I had created and syndicated and hosted, etc. I mean, I'd been that road already. But there was a guy in Atlanta who had a company that one of my best friends, actually a guy who, closest thing to a brother that I had in my life, was working there. And twice previously, he had tried to get me to come to Atlanta to start a new sports magazine deal about gambling. My best friend, the picture of perfect health, a guy who was in his late 20s, didn't smoke, didn't do drugs, was just, like I said, an athlete, a great basketball player, out of the blue, gets lung cancer, was dead within a year, left a 3-month-old daughter and a young widow. I mean, one of those things. His widow put the bug in the ear of the guy that owned the company in Atlanta to make sure that I accepted this time when he offered me a job. So I thought, okay, listen, My life had certainly changed. I was getting married in a few months. I was making $24,000 a year at the time, which wasn't bad money back in the day. But getting married, I thought, well, I'd done this for 8 years. Let me at least hear what he had to say. So I flew to Atlanta on this Masters weekend. And on this day, I finally accepted the job to start a new sports magazine in Atlanta. Fast forward, 6 months later, the magazine folds after 4 issues, and then suddenly I'm getting into advertising, which, I minored in marketing and advertising in college and always had an interest in it as well. So it wasn't anything strange to me, buying media and brokering media, etc. So I got into that heavily for a couple of years, and then soon thereafter, I got back into handicapping. So it's funny how things go full circle in life, because suddenly I'm in the 900 telephone business. Years prior, I had been in the 976 telephone business when people were selling sports picks for $1 if they were lucky, where 1-900 Ask Jose was one of the biggest Jose Canseco was one of the biggest 900 numbers out there. When celebrities were giving their daily reports on 900 numbers, and people were actually calling the damn things on 976 numbers too. Got into the 900 telephone business when that died. It's been about 14 years now. I took a dying industry, brought it to the internet, created these sites. I've seen them replicated, ripped off, duplicated over and over again. Listen, I wish I had a patent. I'd be a multi-millionaire based on everybody else stealing the work that I've done, but that's okay. As I always say, the one thing that they can't do is they don't steal me, because without me, these sites don't work, and I'm constantly changing them anyway to stay ahead of the curve. But it's just kind of interesting that 26 years ago today is the day that my life changed, and it certainly has been an interesting run for a guy who's still pretty damn young, but it's been fun. But I'll tell you what, in all those years, again, I will probably lose 10 days in a row, maybe even 11 in a row sometime, and I know it going in. So I used to work with a guy that we used to call the voice of doom. He said, always expect the worst, you'll never be disappointed. I think as a gambler, if you go in realizing you're not going to win all the time, well, then you're at least based in reality. Because if you think you're going to win all the time, well, then you got to really go and work for one of those guys that run those 800 boiler room operations in New York with the thick accent that promise you and tell you that they win every single day. I think that's definitely your lot in life if you think that you're going to win every single day in gambling. Ultimately, the bottom line and the thing that we look for is to try to turn a profit over the long haul. And I tell you who is and who isn't winning here on the sites. Listen, enough of that. Today being Saturday, of course, you know the drill. Each and every Saturday over the past 3.5 years, I've given you a money-saving discount coupon code that can save you potentially hundreds of dollars off your total purchase price, and today is no different. You can save 25% off your total purchase price today simply by using coupon code 25%. 25%. That's 25%. No space between the number or the word. It's a mix and match coupon, which means you can use it for any combination of picks and or packages from any combination of handicappers here at the site. And the only stipulation, it's a one-time usage coupon. So you can't come in and buy Scott Delaney's latest 100 dime max wager play and then 3 hours later come in and buy somebody else's play. It doesn't work that way. Everything in your shopping cart at one time. For those of you newcomers, this is to deal with that. If you happen to already be involved with a particular handicapper, and let's say you have 7 days left of the handicapper's 30-day package, you want to extend it another 30 days. Well, you'll take 25% off the total purchase price using the coupon code. And if you happen to have any instant rebates, they are applicable as well. And if you had 7 days left, you bought a new 30-day package, boom, you have 37 days left. In your current package, all the work is done for you. But again, if you ever have any questions, you just contact customer service. All your other discounts, promos, etc. are over on the homepage. Let's get to your complimentary plays here in baseball here this evening. First game I want to talk about is actually, I've one night game and one daytime game, so I'll go in reverse chronological order. The nighttime selection I'm going to take a look at, it's going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates as a slight road dog at Milwaukee. Vance Worley going for the Bucks, 2.51 earned run average in 2 starts against Milwaukee a year ago. The Brewers countering with Jimmy Nelson. And 9 outings at Miller Park last season. 8 of those 9 were starts. Nelson's earned run average was 5.83. And he went 1-6 personally in those outings. The Brewers off to an 0-4 start. They've only scored 8 runs total in the first 4 games of the season. Bucks did win the series opener 6-2 last night. They earned their first win of the season after losing 3 in a row at Cincinnati. I'm going to go with the Pirates here in a virtual pick'em situation to win once more. Now, on your daytime card, I like Cincinnati minus $1.30 at home today against St. Louis. Going with Johnny Cueto. Cueto last year, 18 starts at home. His record, 13-4 with a 1.71 earned run average. In fact, over the past 2 seasons, because they won his first start this season at home against the Pirates, the Reds have won 15 of his last 17 home starts. 15-2 in his last 17 home starts. Last season, he was 11-2 with a 1.52 earned run average and 16 daytime starts. And in the month of April, I mean, really last year, the month of March and April, because he had one start late in March and then the rest of them in April. 7 total starts, 47 innings pitched. He allowed 22 hits and 6 runs. He struck out 50. He walked 14. 2.25 earned run average and 3 starts against the Cardinals last season. Michael Wacha going for St. Louis, of course, last year. He had all types of shoulder problems and really struggled down the stretch. He has pitched well in his career against the Reds at 2.35 earned run average. But here's the deal. The Reds won last night 5-4. They're off to a 4-0 start. They have scored 5 runs in 3 of those 4 outings. They've scored exactly 5 runs in 3 of those 4 outings. Cardinals 1-2 start. What I really like about Cincinnati is Joey Votto, who, last year was basically when he did try to play, was playing on one leg and showed no power. And really didn't look that good during spring training. He's come out of the gate like gangbusters. 3 homers, 8 ribbies, 7 for 17. Boy, what a difference it makes just with him in that middle of the lineup finally producing. So I'm going to go with the Reds because, I look at this matchup and I'll tell you what, guys, if this game is being played in June, I guarantee you that Cincinnati is a 155 favorite here. Maybe 160, and you're thinking about a run line play instead. At 130, even 135, why not take the Reds? As I always say about baseball, the lines are the softest you're going to find them and the most inaccurate in the first 3 weeks of the season. It's the only time you have the advantage over the odds makers, and this is a prime example because the Reds, again, if this game was being played in June, the Reds would be at least 20 to 25 cents more as the home favorite in this spot. Again, at 130, 135, as I'm doing this video report, I think they're a steal. So, Cincinnati Reds on the early card. The nighttime selection is going to be, once again, the Pittsburgh Pirates. As with my premium plays in baseball, the complimentary plays, I mentioned the pitchers. Always specify the pitchers. It's a great debate here at the sites. Some guys, like Trace Adams, doesn't believe in specifying the pitchers. I believe, like guys like Chris Jordan and Scott Delaney, I believe in always specifying your pitchers. I think gamblers, it's a split thing here. It's almost as much controversy with this in terms of who likes to do it, who doesn't like to do it, as when it comes to buying a half point or not in football. It's just a way of life. But I know myself, for that 1 or 2 times a year when there's going to be a pitching change on a game I bet on, my God, I don't want my money on some guy who I didn't handicap the game based on, who I didn't make the play based on whether or not I liked him or I was going against him if he was the opponent's hurler. So that's why I always specify the pitchers. Now, some guys, Chris Jordan is a prime example, some guys will only specify 1 pitcher in a particular matchup, which is fine. Listen, I know in days gone by when I used to call through a bookie years ago when I was in Philadelphia, he was a ball buster when I used to always specify the pitchers. And I thought to myself, you aren't my friend. You want to beat me about every dime that I ever made. So, if you got to do a little extra work to note that I'm specifying the pitchers, F you. That's my basic opinion. Nowadays, most of you, if you're playing in Vegas, you're playing offshore, specifying pitchers is an easy thing. Again, I always specify both pitchers. It's your choice, but you've been warned. If you get screwed once or twice a year because you didn't note the pitchers, well, what can I tell you? You get what you deserve and what comes to you. Anyway, that'll do it for today's video report. I wish you well, guys, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.